Let's talk about Apple Arcade. So it's my last day of Apple Arcade today, and I thought it'd be a good idea to share my experience with you guys so that maybe you can decide for yourself whether or not you want to try it. Just to preface, I'm not that huge of a gamer. It's difficult for me to find time in the week to actually sit down and indulge myself in mobile gaming. So this review should definitely be taken with a grain of salt. But Apple Arcade has such a wide array of content that it's nearly impossible to try it all. I definitely spent my fair share of time searching the App Store for quality games, but unfortunately, there just weren't too many that stuck out to me. For the ones that did, however, I can definitely say that one thing they had in common was they were all really beautiful games. And sometimes that's all it takes to make you want to play a game. There's nothing quite like that on the Google Play Store, that's for sure. Nothing as polished. And it's really awesome to play a game that you know someone put a lot of work into. It just makes you appreciate it a lot more. Most of the time, my experience with Apple Arcade went a little something like this. First, I find a really cool looking game, and all of the games on Apple Arcade look really great, and that's how they're gonna get you. Next, I appreciate how good it looks. Usually the first 5 to 10 minutes of gameplay are spent with me admiring how much time and effort was put into the development of this game. And lastly, delete it after realizing it's boring and the gameplay sucks. There's always something, one little thing that can ruin it all for me. Whether that's gameplay or game mechanics or lack of content. Sometimes they're just too short and it leaves me wanting more. Don't get me wrong, there are a few hidden gems though. My cousin and I really enjoy playing this game called Crossy Castle. It's from the same creators as Crossy Road, and it's a ton of fun when you play with a friend. Lego Builder's Journey is my personal favorite because of its realistic Lego building mechanics and creative puzzles, but it was just a little bit too short for me and I beat it in a matter of a few days. So my new favorite is this hilarious game called What the Golf? It's for people who don't like golf, but do enjoy the mechanics of golf games. It's just really good. You have to try it. But for every one game out there that I really enjoyed, there were about 3 or 4 others that just didn't really vibe with me. Take Lego Brawls for example. Now that game looks like a game. It's so polished, and that's probably why it's their most marketable game. They put it right on their front page. It's basically like a Lego version of Super Smash Bros, but on mobile. And if you asked me before I tried it whether or not I'd like to play Super Smash on mobile, the answer is yes, 1000 times yes. However, console gaming doesn't necessarily translate to mobile gaming. And the reason why is it just feels a little awkward when instead of button mashing, you're now swiping the screen and tapping digital buttons that just don't respond the same way as a normal controller does. To be honest, the game that sold Apple Arcade to me is Mini Motorways, because I really enjoyed their other game called Mini Metro. The gameplay for the most part is fairly similar. However, there is one thing, and it's literally one thing, and it's the fact that when you try to add more roads to connect different points, the camera just locks and you can't really move it around to make more precise edits, and that just really pissed me off, so I deleted it. Overall, Apple Arcade offers a wide selection of the most beautiful games that just lack a little gameplay or can get stale pretty fast. I do like the fact that there are no ads, however, or in-app purchases for that matter, because what that tells you is that the developers are actually more interested in providing consumers with quality content rather than just trying to earn a quick buck here and there. If you're willing to pay $5 a month or $50 a year, then you get the privilege of experiencing the best that the App Store has to offer. It's also a good way to support your small creators. For me, however, I just don't think the price merits its value. I think it's a little overrated. But that's just me. If you're still curious about Apple Arcade, it doesn't hurt to test out the free trial and see for yourself. In the meantime, I'm going to be sticking with
Raid Shadow Legends.
Just kidding. Fuck that shit.